So if we were looking at, you know, your structure, Julia, it's like
Thanks.
disconnected from our bodies, people disconnected heart, mind, body. We're not present within ourselves. We're in our heads. We're information overflow. We are inundated with how we're supposed to behave. We're driven by limiting beliefs, but our values actually lead the way. The problem with that is, as a human race, we become disconnected. We become disconnected internally, externally, although right now with what's going on in the situation, the uncertainty of a situation, we go into our prime state, which is survival, and it can lead to survival of the fittest, but we're in a survival mode. We're also on skeptical mode. We're also on wary mode. So we're always on guard. Therefore, our brains aren't switching off. And if we're always on guard, then we're not connected to our heart. We're not connected to our body because we're always looking out. My name is Julia. I'm an expert in fill in the dots, a teacher, fill in the dots. My solution is my unique system, methodology that gets you reconnected, head, mind, body, spirit, soul, gets you reconnected to source, your God, your higher power that be. So literally, without being a cliche, I help you become back to oneness. Yeah, so that's kind of a very quick beginning. Obviously, you'll go more into it because you've got 30 minutes. And then it'd be like, you know, my first step, sorry, now it's story, right? So then there's a story on, you know, I don't know what story you use, whether a personal story or brand story, but, you know, back in the day when I was X, this is where I was this and this and this, I was in a destructive relationship, blah, 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 blah. And then epiphany moment, oh my God, I can't live like this. You know, oh, this is terrible. I have a daughter. I'm not willing to tolerate this anymore. I felt like my head was floating above my body and I just knew there's more to life, blah, 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 blah. Right. And that leads me to my first point, right? Step number one is what? What's your step number one?
Well, in my book, my step number one is slow. In my book,
Okay.
there's seven steps, which are slow. Do you want to know what they are or not particularly?
You can, as I go along, you can kind of tell me. But it's like, so, and that led me to my first step, right? Step number one is slow. And when I realized I was running around everywhere, I was doing all this stuff, and I then started to embark on this journey of meditation, whatever it is, right? It took me to step number one, slow. And what do I mean by slow? And then you would explain content. And then you would weave in something like, when Marilyn came to me, she was everywhere. She's an incredibly talented nutritionist, but she was running from here to here. She's doing, you know, stool samples, wee samples, blood samples. She was checking in on everybody. She was this, she was that, she was that. And she was, you know, looking for a partner. So she's so overwhelmed. And when we started working together, the first thing I taught her was to slow. And here's exactly what we did. And so you give them a formula to what slow is. And now Marilyn she's a brilliant poker player now. She's so slow that ice can't catch up with her. She's like super cool. And she's truly embodying this whole notion of living life to her life purpose, but to her life pace. And that takes me to step number two. Do you see how you weave it? And step number two is?
Body.
So now you've slowed down, it leads me to step number two, which is body. Once you slow down, you can become aware and present to what your body is telling you. What messages, call it the unconscious, call it your intuition, call it what you want, but your body is continuously giving you messages, right? And here's how you learn to read them. But the first step is to slow down. The second is, this is how you become present within your body. Content. Do you see? That takes me to Janetta. Now, Janetta came along and she's this incredible epiphany woman. And she, you know, she helped loads and loads of people on a regular basis, from terrorist attacks to you know, dealing with anxiety, depression, to be seen in the, you know, mental health and well-being summits in your house soon. But the thing is with her, because she did all that, she wasn't present in her body because she was so in her head about helping other people that she didn't listen to all these signals her body was giving her. And we, of course, we slowed her down, but then we started to really look at the messages. And actually, thankfully, and only if this is true, Julia, we discovered X. We discovered that her body was saying this. She had I don't know, I'm making this up, obviously. She had like a hip injury, and her hip was hurting. But when we listened to her body, we realized there was trapped energy around grief. Why? Because she was carrying people's grief. And when you carry people's grief, then it's going to take a physical toll. For her, it showed up on her hip, right? Her body was tired of carrying grief, and we started to listen to that. So we started to build in breaks, and we started to take time out, and she would detox. And now Janetta is a super ninja, yeah? Who do you see what I mean? Which leads me perfectly to step number 3, which is
Depth.
huh? Depth.
Depth.
Right. Do you see the flow? Now, you don't have to have a story for each step. So I would have 3 stories amongst the 7. Yeah?
Yeah.
And then from there, you go, did you, look, if you liked what you've heard and you resonate with Janetta, with Marilyn, with Andrew, with Joe, with any of the people I spoke about, or with my story, what I'd love to do is I'd love to invite you to fill in the blank offer. I'd like to invite you to click on the link below. It's my Canly link. And I'd like, hello.
Sorry to interrupt you.
That's right. You know, I'd like to invite you to book an appointment with me so we can discuss how to implement these steps in your life. I do have a limited capacity, so I would love to hear from you, and I would do that fairly quickly. My name's Julia. Thank you for watching. Your mama's on my lips. That's the kind of thing you want to say. Literally like that.